Okay, hello and welcome. Hope you're all doing fantastic today. So, doing a little bit of streaming again, as you can tell, and what we're working on now is talking about some great books for drawing. And this is definitely a book that you can probably start to improve your drawing skills in under an hour. Yes, that's right. And I'll go ahead and share how and why this is so in just a few moments here, but I have a little bit of a stream to get set up. I just wanted to share some of the thoughts around this as this stream gets started. So we're going to let some people roll in and some people start to see what's going on live. But here we go. So this is a book that was originally, the original book. I don't know how close this is to original because it's a reprint. But this is a book, this book itself is based on a book from like the mid-1800s that taught a lot of artists how to draw. And I've been going through it myself, and I can say that it is a very, I definitely believe that anybody who goes through this book can learn how to draw better in under an hour. And I say that confidently because it's one of those things where it's one of those books that doesn't need to tell you how to draw. It doesn't explain things. It gives you all these examples, and they're easy to copy and start learning from, and that's it. It's kind of like, hey, dive in, sink or swim, and pretty much those who are gonna swim are gonna swim, and those who are gonna sink, you know, they probably just gotta hopefully survive and jump in a couple more times. So as we get set up here, that's what we're working with, and we're gonna just be going through this with oil pastels. So, I hope you're all doing fantastic, whether you're an artist or whatever brings you to this live stream. We're going to be diving into this. I'm going to be working with these via oil pastel. And let's see. Like chapters, featured places, tags, caption certification, recording date. Let's see, YouTube, entertainment, comment moderation. Let's do entertainment. Okay, so just updating some of my stream settings here as we move on to improve this. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So we've been working on this for a little while. I actually did more of it yesterday, but I got a little tired last night. And here we go. So I was actually getting a little frustrated with some of these ears, but it's interesting because as I finally look at these ears again a second time, I'm like, oh, okay, you can kind of see that these are ears. I was originally looking at them yesterday, and I was kind of frustrated, admittedly frustrated that these don't really look like ears, but I think if you take a closer look, or if you take a second look rather than a closer look, you can see how these qualities actually pop in. So, I feel like that gives me a boost of confidence in the sense of drawing ears. So, you know, I definitely, when I draw most of the time, rarely do I ever actually spend the time to focus on just the ear. But given this given our situation here, I definitely feel as if this is it's a positive that looking at your ear later after you've already drawn it, and this happens with a lot of pieces. Going back to your piece after a few hours or even a few days or weeks, that it starts to look a little different. And we're gonna go in here, and the ear has multiple shapes to it, multiple designs. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of shadow into here. Go down here. This is just a quick sketch to get this idea of the ear flowing. And we're gonna go right here and basically come around. I'm being a little bit lazy with this ear right now. I'm so tired of drawing ears, but I'm gonna just stick this through. I'm ready to move on to like the next idea. And you know what? At some level, I think I have to admit to myself that when you're doing art, that if something's not working for you, it's easy to feel like you don't want to do it anymore. But I definitely think that with this practice, this is a great book to learn from, that there is a lot to be said about sticking through it and pushing through it for art purposes. So we're going to go ahead and let this... So I definitely think this ear probably looks a little better than this ear, but, over time, when you take a step back and look at these ears again, I think it's easier to appreciate what you've created. And, of course, this is me just looking at this, but, great book, amazing materials so far. And all it is copying lines, pretty much. I mean, that's what all drawing is, but, it has these two guidelines. You use the simple structured line to create the sketch, and then you do the full line drawing with the shadows and everything later on. And it's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't need any words. You don't have to put words into it. And it kind of just teaches itself. You teach yourself. I consider a lot of art self-guided, but not self-taught. So you might not teach yourself everything. There might be references or ideas, or there might be other artists that inspire you. So it might not be self-taught. I think that's a trendy word, self-taught, but self-guided, I think, is more in tune with what actually happens. So I probably drew this ear a bit too high, so I need to compensate a little bit. Oop, that's a little too long, but that's okay. We're gonna push this up, and we're gonna make this long, and we're gonna go like this. Let's see, how long should this ear needs to be? Right around there. And here we go. So you just quickly start to learn how to draw just by following these basic forms. You're not doing anything super hard. This book basically breaks down for you exactly what you need to do, and you're just looking to match these proportions and things like that. So that's just this. And of course, this has a certain style that maybe not what you want to do. Like maybe you want to learn anime drawing, and if you want to learn anime drawing, all you need to do is pick up an anime drawing book, and you probably don't even need this. So this is gonna come around like so, and then let's go like bam, ear. We're gonna come around here. And let's go like so. So I'm doing this. And here we go. So pretty much the beginnings of an ear. And we're going to go ahead and shade this all in. So let's go ahead and pull a darker red here. So we're going to use like a dark red as our color. And let's use our fancy schmancy oil pastel, our Sennelier, as I guess the French might pronounce it, Sennelier. We're going to use this to color in our shadow, to draw in our shadow. And we're going to use, bring in some of the shadow right around here, round it out a bit, and push our shadow down. And of course, create these edges around the ear that are going to start to form the overall shape. And let's get a little bit of shadow right into here. I like how some of the shadows here are drawn rather than like shaped. But here we go. So starting this out, and let's go ahead and dive in with a little bit of a lighter red. And just like that, you know, you're starting to learn how to draw, because what I find is the most amazing thing about this book is there's not like too much direction. There's no hand holding of where a lot of books that try to teach you how to draw, like, oh, well, start with this line, start with that line. I think this book was written at a time when it really was almost like sink or swim for artists, in the sense of you were either going to figure out how to do it, how to do these things, or you simply were going to come up with your own ways of doing things. And of course, not every artist that studied this material, like Vincent van Gogh studied it, but you know, he wasn't successful in his lifetime, and a lot of others were not considered successful in their lifetimes. But I definitely think that this book does a great job of teaching not necessarily what you might call the fundamentals, because the fundamentals, you know, like the shape and how to shade and everything, doesn't necessarily teach you all that, but it does a great job of getting you to see without over-explaining things. So getting you to look at a piece and just start to understand where the basic shapes are, where the basic lines, getting to a feel for design. And of course, these are in alignment with the tastes of the time. So I actually took a break from regular art just to go through some of this material, and I've just been curious of, you know, spending the time to actually learn this work. It's quite interesting to me that this level of art can be taught through just drawing. It can be taught through just by copying whatever is in this book, and you can pretty much learn to draw. But, you know, not everyone really wants to learn to draw. So if you really do, I mean, this is a really great book to pretty much dive all in, or dive right in, not all in, not necessarily all in, but, you know, you could dive in pretty heavy and start to get a feel for how to see lines, how to see shapes, and how to sketch, how to draw. So I think the only color that'll work here is if I use some black. So let me go with some black here, or maybe like a super dark blue. And we're going to go into this ear to create the shadow. And let's go like this. So this is the shape. And then come around. Get another shadow around the outside and right there. Make sure that this shadow in this space gets nice and dark. And there we have it, another ear down. So here we go. You don't necessarily need to learn. This isn't necessarily a tutorial of how to draw for anybody who is looking to learn how to draw. Let's call this more of like a demo, you know, like a demo of a great book that teaches some amazing drawing, classical drawing skills. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 2:28 p.m.
Now, I will admit, some of these ears, I like to use different colors. So, I like to use different colors. I don't really feel like working with just pen or pencil. So, this might not necessarily be drawing skills in the same sense that you might watch some tutorial. But, at some level, I love the challenge of having to work with materials, with a variety of materials. So, let's go ahead and draw this ear out. We're going to go around. We're going to need about this much space. So let's go with the ear right here. Go around. Create this shape. It's about double that length. Ears are such a funny thing. All ears, for whatever reason, just look like undeveloped human body parts, right? Like they were just born, and the ears were like the last thing for anyone to be like, or for our genetics or our DNA to be like, hey, we really need to make ears look aesthetically pleasing and interesting. But for whatever reason, I wouldn't say that they were ignored, because I think all ears are quite complex despite how they look so undeveloped to the untrained eye. But, you know, they serve its purpose in many ways. And, you know, there's so many different shapes of ears that it's just so interesting how they can be formed, in my opinion. You know, consider this like a study on anatomy as much as it is anything else. So we'll go ahead right here, and let's go like so. So have this ear, and it's just this thing. So now we'll go ahead and add in the shadows here. Continue on with shadows. So I do two sketches. I do one sketch that's like the main sketch, and then I do another sketch that's this sketch. I copy two sketches. This way I get to double my exercise here. And here we go. So just like that, we'll pop this in, got the ear, and there we have it. So here we go. We'll do that. Let's do this other one. We'll continue. Soon we're going to be moving on to full-on bodies. I have no idea how I'm going to do these with oil pastel, but we shall see. We will practice and we will make it work. We will make it happen. These are quite interesting. But you know what's interesting that I find is, that's a rhetorical question because I don't think anyone can answer that except myself, is this idea that they somehow go from this to this. Like, there is such a gap between this and this that, you know, it's hard to explain. Like, there's such a gap between this and this. Or maybe not. Maybe there's not such a gap. But there's like subtle shadow differences that create this shape that you really can't capture with just like, yeah, there's just certain things that can't be captured without like a little bit of a transition explanation, which, you know, that's fine, whatever. Sink or swim, right? So here we go. We're going to do our next ear, and we're going to start with the shadow at the top. And let's go like this. So we're going to start with the shadow at the top, and we're going to go like that. A little bit of a longer line. And this line is going to be about double that. So let's go double that line. And then that's going to be about the same size as that. So about the same line length as that. I gotta say, it is much easier to draw big than it is to draw small. I think that's the appeal of large paintings, is the unspoken truth about large paintings is that large paintings make it so much easier to draw with. They really do. They really do. Because when you have a large painting, you know, if you have something like a detail on the eye, it's just that much easier to work with. Because you can draw the subtle details that, you know, an eye, if you draw an eye with a small pen on a small character, you're not going to be able to capture the detail of like the eyeballs or like the subtle creases in the eyelids. You just can't capture those details. So it's one of those things where when you draw bigger, you have the option to create many more details that you just might not get with the regular pen, or that you might not get with the. When you draw big, you can capture many more details that you just might not with a smaller drawing, is what I should say. Is what I was going for. So let's go like this. And somehow my drawings almost always end up being bigger. So let's just compare the size here. This is definitely quite a lot bigger than this. Let's go like this. Let's just do a quick measurement. Yeah, it's like... That's something I find myself I need to work on. So, you know, maybe on these next few, I'll spend a bit more time just thinking about the overall lengths and the widths that I'm working with for a bit more accuracy. And that's what one great thing about this book is you can start to gauge your own, you know, it's one thing to compare like photorealistic pictures, but it's another to compare like almost step-by-step drawing. There's not much hand-holding here, but there's also a lot of hand-holding. Like you can see and compare and just literally just put your drawing up against each other, and you can see exactly where you're going wrong. And, you know, I can instantly tell that this line is quite lower than that one. So, you know, I see where I'm going wrong. And that's okay, you know, as long as we recognize it and address it. But again, you know, we don't always have to do everything exactly as the book says, right? Although, for the sake of this material, it's nice to be able to see and, you know, at least be able to show that you can make something the way you want it, or the way that it's expected. So originally this book I think was developed for like was originally developed for artists who wanted to go commercial. So like commercial artists back in the day. Yeah, these artists were commercial artists who were going to be painting for the royal families of France and Europe or whatever. And they were going to paint and draw for studies, for commercial purposes, for sale, for income, and all that. And because of that, there's definitely, I think when you work commercially, you work a little bit differently because you're constantly... The idea is that you constantly have to think about what other people want. Which I guess even, you know, if you're a fine artist who is able to work solely with whatever your mind can come up with, you know, that's the same thing too. You still gotta figure out what others want, but at the same time, there's a bit less pressure there. So let's go with this. We've used a really dark purple. I want to try to capture the difference in the different shades here. So we're going to use a lighter purple. Let's find a lighter purple. We're going to use a different value purple, like a very light purple. And we're going to color in this area around the ear here. So we're going to go in around the ear. Let's just go in and shade around this ear. So we're gonna use a different color to go like so, and let this color kind of disappear, naturally just fade away, and let this color just work. Let the magic of the oil pastels just do their magic. So let's see what's going on right now. We will go ahead and just take a quick breather right now. And here we go. Let's use a flesh tone, shall we? It's one thing about oil pastels is if you get flesh tones, like if you just get these flesh tone pieces, you can so easily start to create something that almost looks, you know, like the human flesh color. And I mean, it's almost scary how close it could get, because you almost like want to become dependent on it. You almost want to just keep using them, and you hope that you never run out. It's almost like as if, you know, if you ever paint, the color white is an incredibly valuable color because it helps you to reduce the intensity of all the other colors. And it's easy to become dependent on white. So I have tons and tons of white paint. Just tons. I have a lot of extra white paint that I'll probably never use. Well, actually, you know, I scratched that. I probably will use it, but this idea that I use way more white paint than anything else. So let's go into here. We've got the pink. Let's go into here and go with I use more white paint than anything else. So let's go in here, because I use the white paint to, you know, work with colors and everything, or to work colors and make them less intense, make them a little bit lighter in detail, change the values of colors. So you get to blend a little bit with these oil pastels, go around the ear, create the shape. Let's go like that. Then it kind of just blends away. So let's play with this ear here a bit. Let's add some pinks to it. Or I guess this is already pink. So let's add a bit more red to it, shall we? Let's just see where this can go. Let's just see where the color red can take us. We're gonna use this to paint into some of the white areas. Whatever areas still white, let's give it some color, shall we? So just give it some color. Give this ear a little bit of a sunburn. Make it look like some blood is flowing. Add a little bit of green. Let's add a little bit of green and just push these colors around. Give it like a more realistic look. So one thing I think is interesting about looking at flesh colors of like skin and stuff, is that, you know, it's rarely ever just like brown. You know, it's all different shades of brown. And when you really start to look at it, you can see like greens and blues and, you know, all these different colors that start to bring these colors together. There's so many different colors. So me adding these colors to just blend together, I think really highlights some of the different colors on the skin. I can't imagine anybody enjoys drawing ears, because like who would enjoy drawing an ear? I have no clue. So what do I got to do right here? Oh yeah, so this needs to come out a little bit, and we're gonna come down. We're gonna go down like so. I think what happens is the values are just too different around these parts of the ears. That's okay. So let's go ahead and do this here again. we're going to go ahead and draw this shadow space. So let's go whoosh. I'm going to go do the shadow. And then bring that around. So let's go over here. And let's go right here. Let's go around this ear here. And there we go. So I probably used a little too light of a color, but let's go ahead and just imagine that, you know, yellow is the shadow and white is not. Yellow shadows. So yellow, this bright yellow is our shadow, and we're going to just go in and color in some, bring in some of the texture and design here. Got this ear. We'll get this ear right here. Got this ear. Bring that ear around. And there we go. So an yellow ear on white with shadows. And there we have it. So let's do another one. I think we fit another one on this page. But we're going to go, let's do, what's the color we haven't done? We've done blue, red, we've got some yellow. Actually, you know what? Let's do yellow again. Or we'll go with a green. Let's do a green over here. So I'm pretty sure this ear can fit right here. And let's try to spend extra time to just get the proportions right. So we're going to go like this. Get a nice little proportion. It's a little bit too much extra, but that's not too bad. You know, every little millimeter that you add adds an extra millimeter. So that's the challenge with, you know, some of this work, is that the slightest changes, your slightest measurement inaccuracies, or just eyeing the shapes can create a whole different distortion. And while that's not necessarily bad, if you are trying to go for, if you are trying to say like learn how to draw people realistically, or draw anything super realistically, you know, that becomes a whole part of it, is is to capture the right proportions, the right lengths. And I think that's the greatest thing about this book that it's trying to teach you to do, is that they're really trying to get you to start to learn how to see things and get proportions accurately. Because if you can get that part, you're gold. You know, you can draw pretty much anything you want. Anything. And yes, it really can become that easy. Drawing does not become this you know, mystical skill really becomes a possibility for everybody that wants to learn. If you don't want to learn, that's cool, but it is one of those things where if you can start to see proportions, you can draw pretty much anything. So here we go. Oh, that's a little bit too far up, but that's okay. And let's go draw this in. Here we go, we've got another ear. So if you're just tuning in, this is a book by, originally, I think this is a reprint, so this is originally by a guy named Charles Bargue in the I think he published this in like 1850 it was published by Vincent van Gogh's company, his brother's family's company, Goupil AC. And basically, I think, of course, this is probably a reprint by a whole different company, but, you know, the prints, how you learn to draw from this book is just going through this. So if you go through this book, and in just under an hour, you know, I think, so it's taken me a few hours to get to page 14, but that's just me, because I'm using oil pastel, I do the color, and, you know, I'm taking my time with these. But if you just take a pen and pencil, and you just sketch out these most basic parts of the ear, and you could probably get through, like, each of these in a minute, like 5 minutes or less. But each of these takes me about 10 minutes. I've been streaming for 36 minutes now. So yeah, each of these takes me about 10 minutes. Whereas if you weren't doing it with oil pastels and you were just, you know, trying to rush through this for like a first time and then you plan to do it again, then, you know, you could probably get through this a lot much quicker and start to just get the skills that are required to like draw anything. And those skills just happen to be being able to see, being able to create, you know, complex objects out of simple lines and being able to organize them and, you know, being able to see them at the right sizes, the right proportions, the right, you know, angles. And that's all it is. Anyone can see things in that fashion, see things at whatever angle is needed. It's not a skill that is impossible. Now, obviously, if you really want to kick it up and you want to do certain types of art, ultimately it comes down to what you want to do, because if you're looking to draw anime or something, you're not really going to learn anime from drawing this. I mean, you know, if you could draw this, you could probably draw anime, but you know, if you want to draw classical, or if you want to just be able to draw and like create things or learn how to draw in the tradition, like a classical way, then this is a great book. You can start learning this in pretty much like under an hour. Again, this has taken me about 36 minutes just to get through about 3 ears. But, you know, if you don't want to spend that much time on each piece, you look at these eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this eye is made up of 13 lines. Let's see about this eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to count the circle as 2 ears. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 lines. All you need to do is 16 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 24 lines, and you can start to draw these eyes. You know, you just count out the lines, and, you know, it makes it really much easier, much simpler, less intimidating, and you can really start to just build these great drawing skills. Now, let's see. So, you know, there's a lot more involved, right? So as you start to move toward more advanced stuff, you got to learn the beginning stuff. And then, you know, you definitely have to put in the time and effort for the harder stuff. But anything that could get you started on learning these skills, and not everyone wants to draw in this style. I totally get it. But if you want to learn to draw, you know, get into a book like this. Because here's the other thing, too, that I've found just drawing myself, is the idea that some books talk too much. That's right. Some books just say way too much. It like goes too much into detail. You get stuck in the theory and the explanation and you get stuck on all these things that are just almost like irrelevant. And when that happens, you just like get stuck reading and you don't do much artwork, and that can be a detriment. That can cause people to, you know, kind of feel like they need to take a break, because if you're reading for an hour, you're not really drawing for an hour. And you know, when that happens, I definitely find for me, my mind can't go from reading an hour into drawing right away. You know, I usually feel like I need a break, but basically with something like this, you're diving straight in. There's no explanation. It's just, hey, this is how you do it. This is it. Just copy these lines, and the closer you can copy it, the quicker you can learn how to start developing these art skills. And of course, again, as with anything, this is a classical style of drawing. But you know what? I think the skills in this book, regardless of what style you'd like to do one day, or what style you'd like to create, or whatever it is, you can learn from here. Because if you can copy some of the stuff in here, it teaches you the skills, proportion, length, angle, the angles of things, right? If you can learn those things, you can pretty much start to draw anything from life, from your life, from experience, and you could just figure out how to start developing these things. And those are the great skills this book teaches you. And it's not like you need further explanation of it. It's just about, hey, you know, it's time to dive in and do this thing. do this thing. Dive in and do this thing. So here we go. That's another ear. We're gonna go ahead and do another drawing. I hope that if someone's chatting, I can see the chat. I don't know. Okay. So feel free to jump in, share some thoughts or whatever if you're tuning in. But let's see. Right now, I'm looking for a good dark green to start to differentiate some of these outlines around the ear. So some of these outlines, just to create, like, you know, a difference between the ear, shade around the ear. Just smooth it out. And let's go like this. So this ear, come around. This is probably one of my favorite ears so far. I actually think that this is a pretty decent ear compared to the other ones. And again, you know, when you work with oil pastels, the challenge with drawing small, oil pastels are great if you're going to go big, or if you just need like freedom of movement. Because painting, you constantly have to stop, change color, or whatever. But you know, oil pastels are great because you can just pick a color and go. Now, of course, you know, everything's got their challenges. Like, you know, you're not going to get the fine detail of a pen unless you choose to use your own, unless you choose to like carve out, like, you know, shape the tip of this, which I'm not really into that. I really like using materials as they are. At least for the purpose of, you know, these pens. There's like a, you know, I guess there's a philosophy here, right? Do I want to, as a, you know, a human being, as a human artist, I have the ability, you have the ability, we all have the ability to mold and manipulate the physical world around us, the physical objects, our materials for art. That's what art is, right? Manipulating and taking control of objects and moving them around and placing color where we want them. I mean, that's the beauty of the human experience, and we all have that ability. And my question that I constantly ask, and this is just a geeky art philosophy here, geeky art philosophical question that I ask is this idea: hey, should I leave this? Should I mold this to my own personal satisfaction, or is it perfect the way it is? And to see what comes of it if I was to just lay it down as is. And sometimes that is the answer, and sometimes, well, I guess I have made my answer. But here we go. So let's add a little bit more color. I really like how this is. Hey, welcome back, Kat. Yeah, so I really like this idea of working with these pastels as they are, because occasionally you get accidents, right? I get these accidents of the pieces. I get accidents of lost my train of thought here. I get these accidents where like I might smudge something or whatever, and you know that controlling part of myself, right? My human need, my ego, the need to have control and like to have like to see the perfectness of a line and not see smudges. That side of me is like, oh well, you know, I can't have this smudge here. But then, you know, the creative side of me, the art side of me, wants to accept and appreciate the fact that, you know what, that is that really a mistake, or is that just a quirk of this material? And maybe both answers are right, maybe one answer is right, who knows? But from here, just adding a variety of color, just changing it up. I really like how the layers of color start to make themselves appear around these surfaces. And I would say I think I'm getting better at drawing ears. These ears have changed quite a bit since my original drawings, I think. Now, this is my second to last one. They're okay, but I wasn't really quite nailing the shadows and everything. I think these ears are more interesting, except for this one. What's up with this? It's like a deformed chameleon baby. So here we go.
Boxer's ears.
Huh?
Boxer's ears.
Oh, box. Yeah. What do they call that? A cauliflower ear. And then here's like some smaller ears. Actually, you know what? My earlier ears didn't look that bad, but it's one of those things where if you're too close, like, you know, you're constantly drawing and you're just too close to your material, like you're not taking a step back often enough, which is why, you know, this is a multi-day project of going through this book. You know, if you get in too close and you don't take the time to step back from it, it kind of, you know, you can't really judge yourself accurately. It's hard to really judge yourself accurately. But we're done with this ear. We're gonna go. Let's take a color and just sketch it without the coloring in. So we get two ways to oh, see, look how thick this is. But you know what? That created a nice mark. So that's okay. We're gonna go around. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do prefer having like a nice sharp edge to work with, but you know what? That's the question. Is this beautiful? Is this perfect just the way it is? Or does it require a bit of human object manipulation here? So here we go. We're gonna go around. Got the shadow. Huh? Yeah. And here we go like that. And then come around. Let's go like this. And here we go. So we're gonna color in, shade this in. We're gonna shade this area right here. This is a fairly nice ear, if I do say so myself. Yeah. But ears are naturally, I think they're very ugly. You know, I don't like the look of ears. I don't necessarily, you know, I don't like look at somebody's ear and I'm like, ooh, that's a nice ear. You know, who's ever said that? Very few people on this planet, I think.
Melissa has really nice ears.
Does she?
Yes.
Oh, how do you know? What makes an ear nice?
Small.
That's what makes an ear nice?
In my opinion, I like her ears.
So
Tiny, delicate ears.
according to Chinese tradition, what makes a nice ear is big earlobes.
Big earlobes?
Big earlobes is like good fortune. It means that you're going to be very, very financially successful.
Oh, I like that.
So now, as I move on to these pages, I really got to figure out like how I want to do this. So I guess I'll do it 3 times. I'm going to do the initial sketch, we're gonna do an initial sketch, and then we're gonna sketch into it. So let's go with this brown. So let's see how we can do this. It's gonna create a triangle is the idea that they're trying to get after. So we're gonna go down. Let's go down. Is this a straight up and down line? No, it's almost straight. So virtually straight. Let's go like that. That's a big enough line, and then we're gonna go. That's a little longer, right? That's cool. All right, so let's go at an angle here. This will probably be about 1, 2, 3 times the length of this one. So 3 times the length of that one. Let's go 1, 2, 3. Let's kind of plan it. And plan it right around here. I'm gonna figure out like right around here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we gotta figure out 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's try to get it like right here. That's what happens when you draw too slow, your line gets weak. So anyway, that's okay. We're gonna go with this. This ankle's probably not wide enough, but you know, that's the one thing. You keep doing it and you practice your practice. Excuse my stutter, I've been watching too much Succession. So you keep doing it, and then here we go. So let's do another one. This should be a little bit shorter than this. So let's go 1, 2. So that's about double the length of this. So 1, 2, right around here. And we're gonna go, yeah, right around here. No, maybe a little less angled. Right around here. There we go. We're going to get another foot right in the front. Just a little bit less angled than that, but a little bit longer than this. About that length, right? So just measuring out the lengths by eye. Just eyeing it. This needs to be pretty much like the same height. So we're going to go right across to here. Oh yeah, right across to here. Oh. That needs to flatten out a bit. So let's see what we can do. So we had to draw a couple lines here. That's okay. So we'll go like this, and then let's go flat across. So this figure will have a bit more of a stubbier foot. You know what? Let's start to sketch out. Let's use another one and really start to sketch out this form. We're going to do a different color here. I'm going to go with a yellow ochre. Now that we've got this basic design, we're going to come down and just start to design this foot a little better. And we're going to start to cover up our mistakes here. I don't know why this foot needs to have this weird shape, but you know what, this isn't so bad, because what happens is this foot actually gets cut off a bit, so that's okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down, and then down some more to create the roof of the foot, and we're going to come down. See, and you would never tell that, you know, these were mistakes or whatever, because I'm already carving out. I'm already starting to shape this out. And, you know, you could just say that this is part of the original sketch an idea. So here we go. We're going to bring this down to the foot. And we're going to bring the foot down to right about here as we start to create the shape. So let's see. This foot. Going to angle this right across. And here we go. So start with the first angle that just comes right there. We go like right there. This foot's gonna go angled up. And then like 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at these toes. Like, these are just definitely some weird toes, but hopefully, you know, at the end of this, we will get something compelling. So, you know, the secret is definitely in pushing through the weird part so that you can get to the part where you start to design, the foot. So drawing in some of the shadows now, we could quickly see how this starts to come together. This one gets right up against there. Right up against here, here, here. And then we're going to do a line. So this foot needs to come up as a line, like right all the way to the heel pretty much. So foot goes down a little bit, but this heel is going to come right across. We're going to bring a shadow right down here. And then another shadow right around here just to sketch this out. We have too much brown here, but we're going to sketch this out like that. And I think what it is sitting on top of a sandal or something. So what you can see right here is that this foot is on top of some sort of sandal or platform. And, you know, just little by little, piece by piece, anybody can do this. Just basically copying and studying these lines one by one. And from there, we'll start to, you know, you just build the skills of sight. Yes, that's right. Artistic sight. And I don't mean artistic as in, you know, being able to draw a certain style or, you know, being able to see like a creative vision or something, but more so the sight of being able to see things and interpret them and figure out like how you're best going to tackle and approach a subject. And, you know, that might be abstract. That might be whatever. But it's also nice to learn some of these skills and have like a book that's like, hey, this is how you could draw this stuff. Just start with the easiest shape, like, you know, the easiest shape, and build from there. So let's see how close we could get to this foot right here. We're gonna go with, what color do I want to use for the darkest shadows? If I'm gonna go in the dark shadows here, I want to go for let's go for dark blue. Let's use dark blue on this and see what we get. So I'm going to start up here, get some of the shading. Some of the shading here. Let's start to push in these areas here. So, okay, I see what's going on here. So this is like a carve. I got to remember that this is like a marble statue. So soft marble statue. And basically, this is all the shade right here. So we're going in, and we're going to go the shadow. And the goal is to really just soften some of these shapes to capture the different shapes of the foot. And here we go. Get another crease right there. We're going to go right into here. So we're going to come around. We're going to really give this foot some shadow, come around, and round this out. So just piece by piece, we just start to round it out. And as you round it out, you start to get the overall form of everything. So, you know, all I'm doing is learning straight from, like, literally copying, just copying this piece line by line. And now I'm just coloring in the lines. It's like making your own coloring book. It's that simple. Now, obviously, you know, we're making it based on someone else's view of, so technically this book was made based on the view of commercial beauty at the time, right? The 1850s. So we've definitely reached a point where the concept of beauty is all in the eye of the beholder, which is great. And, you know, this style of drawing may not be for everybody. However, I think it is a great experience. Like, no matter what you want to draw, you can pretty much pick up from this book if you just, you know, take the time to try to go through it. And, you know, you start to pick and choose what you like, what you don't like. You build the skill, you develop the talent, and then, you know, you find your way. You find your way somewhere along the way, right? But here we go. I'm just copying where these shadows are. I mean, this is stuff you could do with anything pretty much, right? Like, anybody can pretty much copy to learn. So, I mean, anybody can copy. Now, this might not, you know, teach you how to copy some of the greatest paintings that have ever existed, right? Like, it's a long shot to say somebody that learns drawing from this is going to be able to sketch out the Mona Lisa. But, well, actually, you know what? I would say that you could probably competently sketch out the Mona Lisa, however, by learning from this. However, you know, there's a level of creativity, a level of design that you just can't capture that, you know, any specific living artist has. And, you know, the spirit of that is definitely very difficult to capture. Even if you were to copy it totally mechanically, even if you did a reprint of it, there's just something that is uncapturable as far as art goes. And you know what? That's why I think this book is great, because it doesn't tell you how, I mean, it kind of does tell you how to do things, but it doesn't like explain it with text, right? Because there's a lot of books out there that try to explain every single detail about how to draw with text. And that's just not a good way to learn how to draw, in my opinion, because you get so lost in the text stuff that, you know, you can easily get distracted and kind of just like go down a rabbit hole of reading the theory, when really the only thing that's needed is something like this. Like, hey, dude or dudette or however you identify, hey, Mr. or Miss, just copy this, right? Like, sometimes you just need someone to say that. So anyway, this book has been great. I'm really just, it's my first time working with one of the foot in these sketches, but here we go. So I think we're making some progress. I'm a little bit off as far as the overall shape and form. I feel like there's definitely a step that needs to go from here to here. That's cool. You know, it's not teaching you how to shade. It is kind of throwing you into the deep end as far as shading goes. But you know what? That's how a lot of us learn to swim. I'm not saying it's the right way. Not saying people should throw their kids into a pool and just, you know, hope that they figure it out. But, you know, without a doubt, that is how some people learn. And, yeah, you know, definitely don't do that, because it could be called child abuse. But, you know, you definitely don't want to. You definitely got to find your own learning style, is what I was trying to say from that analogy of sinking or swimming, you know, putting yourself into the deep end of the pool without floaties. You know, that's one way people learn to swim. But, you know, like the kid whose brother or sister tosses them into the pool when they're not ready, that's dangerous. Don't do that. But, you know, I guess that will develop like a huge fear of water. So, not sure where I'm going with this, but basically learn. This is one way of learning, right? Just going straight into it, going straight into the materials, and like just doing it. You just find your way of doing it. By the way, that's one thing about my live streams is sometimes I'll go on and on about some random stuff, and some of the stuff I say is smart, some of the stuff I say is pretty dumb, but whatever. That's the beauty of a live stream, right? And with that, here we go. So I'm using blue to color in some of these areas. I'm going to use a blue to get some of the shading as far as the lighter shading goes. So we're going to carve out with some of the lighter shades here with the oil pastel. And these lighter shades are going to help us to really formulate the shape here. Help to start developing the shape. And create our wonderful little outlines, right? So we'll get the wonderful little outlines. Let's go here. So here we go. We'll carve this out, and let's go. And we'll start to form the shape of this top of the toe here, toe area. And you know what? We'll go ahead and shade into right here around the toe, shading right around here, and then we'll go ahead and shave right into here. And these are some of the shading areas. And here we go. So, yes, let's go like this. And then we just got a little bit of a hint of shade on the top of the foot here. And then from here, where do we go? Let's do... I feel like I went too light already, and I need to have a different... The value is just too light. Let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to go... Let's go with a different value. We're going to go with this teal here. And that's how we're going to get this change in color. Maybe we should go with the... We'll go with a gray. Let's use a nice gray, and use a nice gray to fill in the rest of this space here. That's just basically, you know, this is what we do for the rest of the foot, is just fill it in with this gray. And then eventually, you know, I might go into some of the areas to improve the highlights and things. But you know what, really quickly, to think that you've got this nice little foot that we've drawn in just a few minutes, just by copying some lines and, you know, following through on what the rest of the lines, and following through on these lines. I think we've got a pretty decent foot. And I'm not exactly a person who draws lots of feet, but you know what, you can... It's pretty effective, this book, at what it claims. Well, actually, this book doesn't really claim anything. It just... a lot of really successful artists have studied from this book to learn. And as we were saying earlier, it's really like sink or swim, but in a positive way. You know, you almost can't sink because it's a book, and you can just keep looking at the material over and over until you get it. But oh yeah, so I need to carve in these toes a little better. So this toe is going to come up. This toe is going to come up as well. And I almost feel like I probably should have used an even lighter value than this gray. So I'm probably going to go real quickly into the rest of these spaces here. And let's just sketch it out. You know what? This is the first foot. We're gonna do another one after this. But you know, we've got the basic design. Now let's actually paint around it. Let's draw around this foot with an orange. I'm gonna go like a bright orange. So bright orange to really start to shape this foot here. We wanna use the color for background color to carve and shape what we're seeing here. So here we go. We got this toe, got a nice toe right here. You know what? Like, what's great is it almost makes the construction lines pretty much disappear. It's a beautiful thing. The construction lines pretty much almost disappear here. So now what I think I really got to do is just dig into this foot. What can we do to really top off this foot? I think what it needs is a dark blue. Let's just use black. We need a black to just go into some of these areas and start to shape the toes a little better. And we're going to have a toe knuckle here. Come down. And another toe knuckle here. I'm going to go toe knuckle. And then another toe knuckle. So we're going to come around and give this another toe knuckle. I can't say I've ever stared this closely at even a drawing of a foot. So, you know, I think this is one of those things. And look, like this toenail, look at this toenail. It has like, it looks like a little, like just a nub. There's no nail on it. But of course, you know, these sketches that we're studying are based on like statues. So there's an explanation. There's a reason for the bizarreness of what we're looking at. But hey, even if it added a toenail, it would not be that much harder to, it would not like matter that much as far as, you know, the complexity of copying it would be. Now, what I do wish this did more is, you know, there needs to be an intermediate step between this and this that kind of like starts to shape these out a bit more, like piece by piece, but whatever. They didn't do that. It's all good. So here we go. What can we do with this? Let's see. I still want to define some of these lines a little better. So maybe we'll go in. Let's go in with like a brown. We'll go in with a brown here. And just start to create better shape out these toes here. What I think is really helpful is just this toe's like just a nub. It's funny. And let's go around, shape the foot here, give it a little bit of an angle. And here we go. This probably needs to be darker. We're gonna have a little bit of shadow around the top of this, a bit of shadow right there, create an edge type deal right here. Create some curves and edges. And let's actually darken this blue. So what do we want to do to darken the blue? Should I just use a darker blue? Let's go. I want to mix in some other colors just to create a little bit of like, just create some little different here. So we're going to use purple. Let's use purple to deepen the shadow area here. Get rid of some of these like white space here. The white space is very distracting to me. So here we go. And here. So let's do this. Get this ankle. And there we go. Like, you know, just covering into the white space can create like a nice form and overall textures and design and things like that. So here we go, creating the shadow. And let's what do we want to do right now? Oh yeah, let's deepen this shadow right here. I don't like that white just popping out. And this shadow needs to be a little darker, so for that, doesn't need to be too dark, just a little bit. So we're going to use a more of a turquoise. And let's go with this turquoise and just create shadows in this space here. Some more little bit darker into the area, a little bit of a shadow that kind of just like blends into the space around it. helps to create like a soft edge here. Create this softened edge. And add a little bit of color there, color there. Let's blur the lines here. Blur the lines. And let's go like this. There you go. It's a little it's very, has like a grit to it, a texture. So that's where we're going for with our use of oil pastels. And there we have it, a statuesque foot. And let's see what else we can push that into here. Let's maybe add some yellow on top of the gray. I'm not too happy with how this gray's looking. So I'd like to add a little color to brighten it up. And that color, let's use yellow actually. Let's brighten up with some yellow. So I'm using a Crépin brand of yellow because it's a harder one, which means it's actually going to like carve away some of the color here. It's going to push the colors around, push them away, and we're going to get something more interesting, I think, in my opinion, is the overall texture is going to change up a bit. So let's go around these out. We're going to create swirliness. And there we have it. So we will take a break right now. We've been streaming for about an hour and 17 minutes. And I finally got done with these ears. I'm so tired of drawing ears. So I'm glad to finally draw feet. But for those of you tuning in right now, I appreciate you being here. I have to go. Well, I don't have to go, but I need a break. My body, my mentalness of artwork needs a break. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll probably come back a little later. But for those of you that have tuned in or will tune in the future, thanks for joining. This is just a demo of learning through this book, The Ultimate Bargue Drawing Collection. So I have been drawing for a while, but I felt like, I wanted to look at some traditional ways of drawing, and I found this book to be quite helpful. Now I do this totally different. This was originally done for like charcoal pencil artists, but I'm doing it a little differently. I'm using oil pastels because that's a medium that I actually like and have fun with. So we're gonna work with that, and we'll talk to all of you later. Have a good day.